Welcome to the IUPUI School of Science Chemistry JagDay. We're excited to have you here to learn more about what it'll be like to study chemistry at IUPUI. My name is Lori Hart, and I'm the Associate Director of Undergraduate Enrollment here for the School of Science. My contact information is on your screen, and I want to encourage you to contact me with any questions you have going forward about the School of Science, from visiting to applying to accepting your offer of admission. The School of Science is one of two Purdue University degree granting schools here at IUPUI. You'll be studying in our 4 science buildings on our campus, including our brand new Innovation Hall, which boasts many new state-of-the-art science labs and classrooms, including organic chemistry. We have 9 science academic programs here: biology, chemistry, computer science, earth sciences, forensics, math, neuroscience, physics, and psychology. And our students are involved in over 500 campus organizations and over 30 science clubs and interest groups, such as the Chemistry Club and Pre-Med Club. But you are encouraged to join any of our science organizations, no matter what your major. So if you enjoy hiking and caving, you might want to join the Earth Sciences Club. Or want to help plan a murder mystery dinner, then the Forensics Club would be for you. In Computer Science Club, you can help design and program a gaming cabinet, or help care for plants in our greenhouse through the Biology Club. There is truly something for everyone. And the School of Science is invested in your success, providing free tutoring from experienced tutors in select science courses in biology, chemistry, computer science, math, physics, and psychology to supplement your course content. Now, we understand that you have many options of where you can study science, but I want to share the distinct advantages to studying science at IUPUI. First of all, we're a school of science as opposed to a school of arts and sciences, which allows us to focus all of our time and resources to our passion, which is science. Furthermore, our pre-professional and career advising office, called Science Preps, focuses only on science and has created relationships with the employers that hire and the graduate and professional schools that admit our students. They will provide you help in resume writing, internship and full-time employment searches, and professional school preparation and applications. Next, our location in downtown Indianapolis provides you with many advantages. Living and learning in downtown Indy is fun. We have the Indianapolis Zoo, many museums, the Indiana Repertory Theater, the Indianapolis Colts, the mall, and many great restaurants, all within walking distance of our campus. And nearby, we have many companies such as Eli Lilly and Salesforce, and city, county, and state agencies who hire our students for internships and provide job shadowing opportunities. We also have 5 hospitals that are on or adjacent to our campus, as are the IU schools of medicine, dentistry, and law. And they provide you access to amazing volunteer, shadowing, research, and internship opportunities. Third, you'll be immersed in a close-knit science community. You'll find academically focused science students who enter IUPUI with GPAs and test scores above the all IUPUI average. You'll find your people here in study groups, student organizations, and in the many social opportunities available to you. This year, U.S. News and World Report named IUPUI number 49 in the nation for our commitment to undergraduate teaching. Our faculty is committed to undergraduate education. In fact, the majority of your classes will be taught by full-time faculty, and you'll find our professors to be approachable and accessible with weekly office hours for students. And last, you'll find amazing opportunities within science to get involved in research as early as your freshman year, and you'll see the real-world contribution of your classroom knowledge. If you are interested in getting involved, all you have to do is reach out to your professors in science if their research interests you, and ask them how you can get involved. And many of the opportunities are paid or can be completed for college credit. Now at IUPUI, you have endless options available to you. You choose the living situation that is best for you on campus, a nearby apartment, or commuting from home. And if you are an admitted student who is interested in living in one of our 4 residence halls, I encourage you to apply to housing by our March 15th priority deadline to secure your spot. There are still spots available. Signing up for housing does not require you to live on campus. It merely gives you the option to live on campus. You make the final decision when your housing contract and placement is emailed to you. Housing contracts will be sent out beginning April 1st to your IUPUI email account. They'll be sent out every Thursday through June in the order the applications were received. So if you have applied for housing, you'll want to check your IUPUI email account every Thursday to see if your contract has arrived, because once it's arrived, you only have until the following Monday to accept. Now, if you'd like to live with other science students who are taking the same classes as you, you can sign up to live on the STEM floor in North Hall. You'll find it under residence-based learning communities in your housing application. And if you've already applied and you're interested in STEM floor, you can go in and update that preference and it will not affect your application date. So to learn more about housing or apply, go to housing.iupui.edu. Now I invite you to visit us and take a student-led tour of the School of Science and see where you'll be studying. We offer in-person tours every Thursday and Friday this spring. You can tour the School of Science alone, or you can pair it with an IUPUI campus tour. We have a JagDay like this for all 9 of our academic units. You can sign up for as many of those that you're interested in learning more about. We'll also post recordings of today and all of our other JagDays on our Science Visit page and on our IUPUI Science YouTube channel. So if you miss any, you can tune in and watch those at your convenience. Now, information on science visits and JagDays can be found at science.iupui.edu/visit or email me at science@iupui.edu with any questions that you have. And you'll also want to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at IUPUI Science and learn more about our students and faculty, as well as the exciting opportunities available to you in science. Now, in a few minutes, we'll have chemistry students Sadia and Holly here to answer any questions you have, so stay tuned after our chemistry department presentation to hear from them. I want to remind you that you can ask any questions you have for me or our faculty or student panels by clicking on the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. We want to answer your questions, so please ask away. Now, I'm pleased to introduce Chemistry Professor and Chair Dr. Partha Basu, Professor Sebastian Lawley, and Chemistry Advisors Maureen Nguyen and Lynn Zhu to speak to you more about the curriculum, resources, and research of the Chemistry Department at IUPUI.
Okay, hi everyone. Good to be with you. So today I'm going to tell you what chemistry has to offer you as a career, and here, particularly at IUPUI. What I'm going to tell you is, if you invest in your career, choose chemistry. Why should you study chemistry? First and foremost, it's really cool. It's a really cool subject that impacts everyday's life in a number of ways. That's why American Chemical Society calls it, and chemistry is a central science. Chemistry also has a very nice job prospects. Now, I have the data, that's 2016, is a pre-COVID data, that ACS members showed the unemployment rate was only 2.6%. And that's really nearly half of the national average of 4.9% of that year. I don't have, post-COVID, since we are still already in COVID, numbers as yet, but that will come. But what I can tell you is the projected growth from 2019 to 2029 in chemistry is about 5%, whereas average growth in other areas is about 4%. Now, you can ask, where can a chemist be employed? And a chemist can be employed in different sectors: industry, academia, like ourselves, government, nonprofit organizations. You can also start a new business. In other words, you can be an entrepreneur. The business of chemistry is a big business. So it is about $565 billion enterprise in the US alone. An annual average salary in chemistry is about $87,000. That is 25% higher than the average manufacturing pay. In chemistry, there are about 4.4 million jobs, and these are good paying jobs. 544,000 skilled, good paying American jobs in chemistry. And the business of chemistry accounts nearly 10% of US goods exports. That is 136 billion in 2019, and among the largest exporters in the US. So the sector of chemistry, business sector, is very large and quite prolific for a long time. Capital investment in the business of chemistry was more than $35 billion in 2019. And that includes investment in structures and equipment. 972 million tons of products were transported in 2019, making the business of chemistry one of the largest shippers, basically. And chemical companies, they invest heavily, $10 billion research and development. Now that's more, that's aside from the national or federal government or other agencies, nonprofit agencies that invest. This is from the companies themselves. So what can you do with chemistry? Like I said, it's a American Chemical Society, also called the true science. It's a central science. And from chemistry, you can do whatever you want to do. You can go to geology, you can go to environmental science, biology, plant science, medicine, astronomy, biochemistry, physics, you name it. It is up to you to decide what you want to do based on your interest. And what we are going to do is to provide the path for you where you mark your own path to go along. American Chemical Society is the largest professional organization in the world, and it approves different chemistry programs throughout the country. Our chemistry program at IUPUI is actually approved by the American Chemical Society. And not all the places that offer chemistry degrees are actually approved by the American Chemical Society. Ours is. And that comes with lots of benefits. For example, that once you graduate, you get 3 years professional membership, networking, which allows you to find suitable jobs or career growth or graduate school, whatever you want to do. You get mentorship opportunities there. At IUPUI, we graduate, these are the numbers. So 2015-16, we graduated about 54 students, and last year we graduated 65 students. And many of them actually do double majors. And many of them also do minors in another subject. 91% of our graduates, they stay in Indiana after graduation. 37% of our graduates are enrolled in a program of continuing education. That would be, for example, PhD, MD, or dentistry, or DO. So those professional schools, 37% of our students will go to that direction. And 45, nearly half of them, would be employed after graduation. So here's the employment map in the country for chemists. And this is from the Department of Labor. In Indiana, as you see, it's a dark green, darker shade of green. So lots of jobs for chemists. An average salary is about $77,000. That's not bad, right? Where do they go? Lots. Laurie pointed out that there are a lot of companies here. She mentioned about Eli Lilly. But Eli Lilly is not the only one. So here are some of the companies that our students have gone to. Covance, Corteva, which used to be called Dow Agro, now it is Corteva, Eurofins, Lancaster Laboratory, Heritage Group, Indiana State Department, and so on and so forth. Some of them are small, some of them are really, really large, just like Eli Lilly. And I'm going to show you a few pictures of our students. These are the students. These are a few years old. Certainly last year, we were not able to take any of the photos because of the COVID situation. So these are the students who went to graduate school. Martin Kurek graduated, and he went to do PhD in environmental science. Sarah Burris went to Michigan to do PhD. AJ Halls went to Johns Hopkins for PhD in chemistry. Rebecca Reynolds went to Northwestern for PhD in chemistry. Andres, doing PhD in physics. As you can see right here, from chemistry degree, one is going to earth science, another one is going to physics. It is truly the essential science. And here's Jacob Hitchens, went to Michigan to do PhD in medicinal chemistry. Allison went to UNLV to do PhD in radiochemistry. Medical field. Medical field has lots of options. Here's Musa, went to Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine. Gabrielle went to Marian University. Olivia stayed in IUPUI doing physician assistant program. Emily went to PharmD. Nathan went to Marian to do DO. Lots of students go to IU School of Medicine to do MD. So that year, Ibrahim, Tori, Garrett, Eric, Regina, Kate, these are all our students, our graduates, 6 of them, right, on the screen. And that's not alone. Here's IU School of Dentistry. Stephanie, Dan, Michaela, Lindsay, and Raven, they all went to pursue dentistry. As you can see, the chemistry is a central science, so you can go anywhere you want. And IUPUI is the ACS approved program. You can have lots of career options, getting a degree from IUPUI chemistry, and you can pursue whatever you want, from medicine to job market, working in a corporation like Eli Lilly, Corteva, or Dow Agro, or a small company like Eurofin. So I hope if you have any question, you'll reach out to us. We'll be delighted to answer those. Thank you so much.
I am Marina Nguyen, and I am one of the advisors in the Department of Chemistry. There are 3 of us, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about specifics. We're going to talk about our degree plans, the similarities we have between our degrees and the differences. And as you have questions, put them in the Q&A so we can address them after we talk. We do have 4 different degree plans. We have a Bachelor of Arts. We then have 3 variations on a theme of the Bachelor of Science, which are our ACS certified degrees. So we're going to look at some of the things that we can do with these to start with, or some of the things that students have done, potential careers, and there are some examples here on the screen as to what you can get involved in, and Dr. Basu just pointed out some of those. These are just a small sampling of what you can do with your chemistry degree, just to give you a few ideas about these plans. So our BA degree is often used for pre-professional programs, such as the medical school, dental school, but we can also use our BS in that same way. The BS is a little more intensive in terms of the science, but it maybe makes you more competitive with more of the chemistry background. It's also a way to ensure that if you change your mind about a career path, that you have more options available to you. So some of the similarities between our BS and our BA, we can look at these in terms of university requirements. So the residency requirement, English and speech, the cultural understanding, arts and humanities, these are all university-wide requirements. Then the Windows on Science as your freshman orientation is specific to the school. Though it is a university requirement to have a freshman orientation, the Windows on Science is our version of that in the School of Science. And the computer science is also, other than computer science degree, is also a required course. Then in chemistry, the BS and the BA have similarities in that everybody takes general chemistry, everybody takes a year of organic chemistry, and everyone takes analytical chemistry. Plus, we also have a cornerstone course that we like to think of as maybe a sophomore seminar, a career prep course, and then our capstone to sort of tie the whole degree back in together again. So these are some of the similarities. And they also have similarities to other science degrees. And as Dr. Basu was talking about, we do have a large number of students who double major in biology and chemistry, or forensics and chemistry. And then there's lots of opportunities to get minors. Some of the differences between the BS and the BA. The BS has a bit more extensive amount of calculus. So there are 4 total courses in math, 3 calculus-based courses in the BS. Remember that the BS is our American Chemical Society certified degree, ACS certified degree. The chemistry BA has 2 semesters of life science calculus, the non-math majors calculus. There is, both degree plans require 2 semesters of physics. They are slightly different flavors of physics. We require other sciences. We do recognize the existence of other sciences. We do have a science requirement in the BS. In both of them, there are 2 courses. The BA, they have to have labs associated with them. The BS, there's lots of labs in chemistry, so we don't force those to be lab-based courses. We do have a physical chemistry requirement in both the BS and the BA, slightly lower BA requirement. Biochemistry is required for the BS, but not for the BA unless you're pre-professional. And then we have instrumental course that required for both. And then there's a lot more BS degree course requirements for the BS, a lot more courses that you need to add on for the BS. Okay. As we're going through this and you think of questions, go ahead and put them in the Q&A, and then we can talk about them when we're done. If you decide on a degree plan other than chemistry, we also do offer a chemistry minor, and that has these course requirements here. A lot of if other science majors find it fairly easy to add in a chemistry minor. If you're a biology degree seeking student, it is simply 1 additional course. We have a lot of, say, health and life science or engineering students who might also find it fairly straightforward to add a chemistry minor. That is all I have for us today also.
My name is Sebastian Lollet. I'm an assistant professor here in the Department of Chemistry. And I will be telling you a little bit about the research that is currently ongoing in my lab, and tell you a little bit about how I have engaged with both graduate students and undergraduate students in the research endeavor that we look in my lab. Now here, first let me introduce some of my colleagues in the department, because I'm not the only one doing research, and everybody does a great amount of research. Obviously, there's the chair, Dr. Basu, that does some research in organic chemistry. There's Dr. Dice here, Frederick Dice. She's a fantastic colleague, doing a lot of analytical chemistry, trying to detect drugs and explosives using paper-based devices that are very cheap, and the students build those paper-based devices in the lab with her. There's Dr. Manicki, who is a forensic scientist, and he also specializes in the detection of drug. And everybody in the department here, all of these research professors are always willing to engage with the undergraduate students and provide opportunities for research, so you can be involved, learn the chemistry, the bench chemistry that is going to help you be more competitive when you apply for a graduate program, whether it's a PhD program, a medical school, or really when you're looking for a job. Emphasizing again what Dr. Basu said, the experience that you're going to get here at IUPUI is very unique compared to any other institution that I have been a part of, because the undergrads are an essential element of our education plan. And so we want you to learn directly from us, hands-on learning, which is very valuable when you are actually looking for a job, because that experience is one that you will not get at any other institution, at least not as easily as we make it available here at IUPUI. And just to highlight that, this is, for example, how I have organized my research group. We have multiple different research subjects, and one of them, for example, is these click chemistry reagents. We use these type of reagents in order to track drugs, trying to develop ways to detect drugs in the blood, in urine. And here below, all of the students you see here, between Maggie, Satya, all of these students are undergraduate students that are currently working in my lab and are doing this research and helping push science forward and developing these technologies. Later today, you're going to actually be talking with Satya, that is one of the student panelists, and he can tell you some of the research he has been doing in my lab. Other research projects also involving undergraduate students like Lexi, Jack, and Amera involve like normal synthesis. These type of compounds using palladium and copper catalysis are very valuable for the pharmaceutical world. People at Eli Lilly and Roche and Corteva work developing similar reactions. And so what you would be learning in my lab is literally how you can the same type of chemistry that chemists right now here in Indianapolis are doing to improve the life of humanity, developing new drugs, agrochemicals, and so on. And we keep on doing a lot of this work. Here again, I have multiple a graduate student, Charles, Jack, Calvin, an undergraduate, and here we had Zach that graduated a few years ago, and now actually with his chemistry degree decided to pursue a career as a winemaker. So again, chemistry is not limited necessarily to what you would presume like hard sciences, like working at a pharmaceutical company, but there's a lot of chemists out there, people with a chemical expertise that are needed in the brewing industry to make beer, to make whiskey, to make wine. And so he decided to specialize in that, and is currently actually trained further here in the US, in Indiana, then moved to France for a year, and now it's continuing his wine education actually in Washington State, near Seattle. But the main subject that I wanted to tell you today about is how we can use chemistry also to develop biochemical devices. And in particular, there's this technology that I'm developing in my group that helps people with diabetes control what is called the diabetic ketoacidosis, which is a lethal complication of diabetes. So if you think about diabetic ketoacidosis, as I said, it's a life-threatening complication that affects over 200,000 patients in the US alone every year. And it has a mortality rate of 4 to 5%. That's at least 10,000 people a year that die from diabetic ketoacidosis, which again is a complication from diabetes. And one of the things that we need to do is develop a way for them to know when they're in diabetic ketoacidosis in order for them to go rapidly to the hospital, or in order for them to inject more insulin and manage that. And developing easy to use technologies that enable that could save indeed around 5 to 10,000 lives a year. And so what are the current technologies that people with diabetes use to manage their ketoacidosis? Well, there's two types of tests. The first one is the urine test. And this urine test, as I'm presenting here, it's currently available. It comes in these little paper strips, the keto ticks. And there's a lot of chemistry behind them. Pretty much you start with this molecule, this sodium nitroprusside, which is an iron complex, that in presence of the biomarker is the molecule that the body produces when you're in ketoacidosis, this acetoacetate. It replaces the ligands around the iron center and becomes this iron acetoacetate complex. And in this transition, going from the sodium nitroprusside to the iron acetoacetate, you're going to have a change in color, in which, as you can see here at the bottom, if you don't have this biomarker, the test will become negative and it's going to be a brown color. And the more biomarker you have, the more purple the stick is going to become. Now, what happens here? When you are not feeling well and you are in a public space, you may not be able to get, a urine test very readily. It's going to be complicated. You need to find a bathroom, and so it's not necessarily very useful. And additionally, is also not very precise, because that actually has a lot of issues with people that have diabetes, have other complications, like have high blood pressures and heart problems, and there's interactions between the drugs taken by people with diabetes and this test, and so it gives a lot of false negative results. The other test that has been developed is a blood test, and this one requires an enzyme. You have seen things like these that represent a little bit like the glucose meters that people with diabetes use, and similar technologies have been developed in order to try to measure the ketone. The problem here is that when you're in ketoacidosis, your acidity, the blood acidity has increased significantly. Your blood is more acidic. And because it's more acidic, it actually changes the structure of the enzyme. And the enzyme then is not as good as detecting that the new biomarker, hydroxybutyrate. And so it provides also sometimes erroneous results. And so what we wanted to develop in my lab was something that would be much simpler, that would be just a breath test. And what happens is that when you're in diabetic ketoacidosis, you have compounds called volatile organic compounds in the breath, and we can use those also as biomarkers. In particular, acetone is a biomarker of diabetic ketoacidosis, and it's produced in a high quantity when people are in ketoacidosis. And because acetone is very small, it actually goes from the blood into the lungs, and from the lungs it can be extruded through the breath. And so what we wanted to develop is indeed using that technology. We're actually developing a small breathalyzer that can be portable, that you can take with you anywhere. And when you're not feeling well, you can probably breathe in that machine, kind of like an alcohol meter, the breathalyzers for alcohol, and that would measure your ketone bodies and tell you whether or not you're in ketoacidosis. So it would be more practical than the urine or the blood test, because you don't need any biofluids, and it's more practical also because you don't need to puncture yourself, or you don't need to find a bathroom. You can just breathe in the machine and have your results. And again, as I said, all of this chemistry is being done by me with graduate students and undergraduates. We go to conferences together, where many of them have won multiple awards, and over the years the research group has grown. And as you can see, there's, it's a very diverse work environment. We are really trying to provide as many opportunities to you to get the training you need, the education you need, in order to succeed, whether you're applying later for a graduate program, medical school, dentistry school, nursing school, or looking for a job, and you have all the skills you need in order to succeed. And that is all I have for you today. And I suppose that Lori is gonna guide us towards answering some questions.
Yes, I see, Marie, you're typing an answer, but let's answer this one out loud, because I like this question. Somebody asked, can you talk more about why the ACS is important?
Okay, so I talk about that. So ACS, American Chemical Society, is like I said, is the largest professional society. And it actually important to get a certified degree, because it allows people to understand their consistency and certain standards are met in terms of what is taught and what has been achieved. So ACS have a criteria that, okay, you have to teach this. And and we follow those guidelines.
And just to add into that a little bit, businesses and professional programs hold the American Chemical Society in high regard. So they take their recommendations, their certifications, as being something that's important.
Right. So that's absolutely is true. So having that certification means that, you know, it's valued. So it's a value added. And when you say that you have an American Chemical Society certified degree, industry people, academic people, they know immediately, okay, certain standard has been met.
Okay, and then as a follow-up to that, someone asked, why is the BA not ACS approved or certified?
Marie?
So the BA degree doesn't fulfill the American Chemical Society's requirements for a chemistry degree in that it doesn't have a lot of the higher level, the senior level courses that the BS degree has. And its intent is not so much to go into industry or further into graduate school. It's normally as a basis for further education that might use chemistry as foundational.
All right. And Jack asked, who will be teaching my labs?
I can take that question. So all our labs are taught by qualified instructors. So there will be a faculty member in charge. And underneath the faculty member, there could, you know, there's a whole host of type of people. Some of them have PhD, others are working towards their PhD, others are senior qualified undergraduate students, okay? So we have so many labs that we teach, and it has worked like a wonder. As a student, you should also think about this provides an opportunity for teaching a lab, which will allow you to learn the subject matter better. And so the instruction design, curriculum design, and all those kind of things are done by faculty, but the execution and pre-labs and those kind of things are done by TAs, teaching assistants. And the TAs are graduate students or qualified undergraduate students.
And then just as a follow-up to that, someone asked, what is PLTO?
Lynn, do you want to take that?
Can I interject for just a moment?
Okay, go ahead.
So about the lab teaching assistants, that could be you in the future, getting that experience of being on the other end of things, not just taking the labs, but then getting that experience of teaching the labs.
Mm-hmm.
And we should reiterate, those are paid positions. Marie, how would, if someone's interested in doing that, how would they go about getting those positions?
We often have a process of application for that is done through our Canvas advising site.
And I should also probably mention, since you said the job part, we employ large number of students, more than 100. You know, I think PLTL program alone has 130, and then probably 60 or 70 in the lab. That many students employed. And we have so many scholarships available that sometimes we are difficult to find enough people to give those scholarships. But that's a sidebar.
And Marie, did you want to talk a little bit more about PLTL?
PLTO stands for peer-led team learning. In some of our undergraduate classes, the way they're set up is students will meet in lectures, most likely twice a week. So you'll meet with the professor. Professor will do the teaching, lecturing, and then once a week, you will meet with smaller group of students in those sessions called recitation. So in recitation, you're supposed to practice what you have learned in lecture that week. So in some of our courses, recitation sessions are using PLTO models or peer-led team learning model, which means a student who recently took the same class and did well and has been trained to lead those sessions will lead you through a series of problems. So you will work with other students to learn or to improve your problem solving skills.
And I should mention that studies have shown the PLTL improves student learning significantly over a period of time. And this is something unique in the sense, not very many large schools you will be able to get PLTL option. You are going to be probably getting a recitation option that will have maybe 25 to 40 students and per recitation leader. You're not going to be able to get this kind of personalized attention. And by doing that, when you are done with the PLTL recitation section, you can be a leader. And that would help you hone your leadership skills. That will hone your soft skills that are so important for success in moving forward. Those are soft skills that you normally don't see elsewhere.
All right, and we have one last question. Someone asked, what track would I need to take if I'm wanting to go to pharmacy school?
So any one of our degree plans can get you to pharmacy school. Some of them you have to add, in fact, all of them, there are some requirements that can be, that need to be added, can be used towards credit requirements. A lot of times students will take the biochemistry option or the medicinal chemistry option because it does add in some of those degree requirements explicitly, but any one of them can get you there. The BS degrees are going to make you a little bit more competitive than the BA degree.
Right, and I did want to add too that if you are looking to go into any type of pre-professional program, whether it be pharmacy, medicine, dental, you can work with our science preps office, and you would have an additional advisor there who'd be your pre-professional advisor and can help you with those requirements and make sure you understand how to take them. So you would work in conjunction with your chemistry advisor and your preps advisor to get that taken care of.
And the preps office isn't just for pre-professional. It can also be, what would your career be after your degree plan? So all of our science students can go over to preps, not just pre-professional.
Well, thank you for helping out with the faculty presentation, Dr. Basu and Dr. Lale and Marie and Lynn. And we're going to move on to the student panel. So if Satya and Holly, if you can unmute and show your screen. All right, and we'll start out by, I'll just let you both introduce yourself. Satya, if you want to start, and then Holly, just let us know, where you're from, your major, and a little bit about your career aspirations.
Hi, so I'm Satya. That's my nickname as I go by with everyone. So I'm a bio and chem double major, and I'm a senior. I'm originally from India, but I grew up in Dubai, which is in the Middle East. And my career aspirations, I'm planning to go to veterinary school after I graduate, which is this December.
Hi, I'm Holly. I'm double majoring in econ and the biochem chemistry. I'm from Plainfield, Indiana, so right outside Indianapolis. My future career aspirations is I would like to go to med school and do a joint degree with either an master's in econ or an MBA.
And I wanted to start out just talking a little bit about the experiences you've had here. And I know that Holly, you've had research and internship experience, and Satya, you've worked as a lab teaching assistant, and you've got some research experience. Can you both just show or tell our guests a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I've done research actually, and as a part of a lab at the IU School of Medicine, immunology research for the past 3 years. So I haven't done anything with the chemistry department research, but I know there are a lot of opportunities in the chemistry department and at the IU School of Medicine too. So I really like it because what I do is still applicable to everything I learn in chemistry and through my chemistry courses. And it looks really nice on applications, and it's really interesting and a good preparation if you want to go into some form of research in the future?
Yeah, so I've had a couple of different experiences. I started out as a PLTL leader under Dr. Hong, which is in organic chemistry. And then in terms of teaching, I also went into organic chemistry labs. So I taught the second course for organic chemistry, which was, as Dr. Basu said, a lot of engaging my soft skills and talking to people and, being able to empathize with their position as a student. And then on the side of research, I've also done research in the School of Medicine. So I work with Dr. Hickman, who's basically the head veterinarian for the whole of IUPUI. So she manages all the any lab that has uses animals in research. And so one of the things I do in there is, in addition to research, I also work as an animal health technician, which is, I look at the health of the animals in the facility and, recommend treatments and monitor the treatments as they improve. And then the last thing that I do is with Dr. Lawley, as he mentioned earlier, and organic chemistry research, which is a lot of hands-on research, and it's pretty fun.
And I know that both of you had very different experiences with your living situations. And I do like to talk about that because you can become very involved at IUPUI, whether you're commuting from home or living on campus. Can you both just share where you've lived while you've been a student and how you've stayed involved?
So like I said earlier, I'm from right outside Indianapolis. So for the first couple of years, I lived at home and would just commute to class. And then this last year, I moved closer to campus, like right outside campus. And so now I can walk everywhere. But I've always lived relatively close. So I feel like it's been easier for me to become involved since I'm on campus, or I can be on campus at any time, really.
Yeah, so my freshman year, I stayed at the Tower, which is the on-campus residence hall. I would say that it was a way that I could make friends. I built a system of friends at the Tower because that was really the first people I met when I arrived at IUPUI. So I didn't have to wait until I got to classes because, I started at the summer British program and, I met a lot of people. And so it really helped going into the program. The other thing is that the Tower is pretty close to, any class that you want to get to. It's right in the center of the campus. So it's pretty mobile, you could say. And then in my second and third year, I've kind of moved off campus, but still pretty close to IUPUI, which helps because, if I need to come back and grab something or, as at the research facility, sometimes you need to come back and shower and go back. So, it helps to be close by so you can actually do that.
And we had a question come in and someone wanted to know if either of you do any activities outside of science.
For me, I'm involved with my sorority in Panalytic.
Yes, I used to be involved in the IUPUI debate team, which is led by the speech professor, it's just Dr. Sheeler. And we went to different universities and competed in debate competitions, basically. And that was, I think I did that until about halfway through my sophomore year. But I've kind of shifted my focus towards going more into research and teaching because, as you get into harder classes, you need to select what activities you want to do. So you can't just do everything because, time is not unlimited. So you kind of have to be decisive about what you can do and what you can't do.
We've got a question asking about class sizes. And I know our classes start out a little bit larger, and as Marie and Lynn had talked about, you have the recitations and the labs, which make them smaller. But once you get farther into your major, Satya and Holly, can you talk about how many students are in your classes and what that experience is like?
Yeah, like you said, in the introductory classes, because there's so many different majors that are taking those, it's typically larger class sizes. But then as you go into like organic chemistry, one section will probably have 100 students. And then like the grad level course that I took with Dr. Lawley, we had only like 10 students maybe. And then the upper level chemistry and bio courses, is usually anywhere between like 20 to 40 or 50 students, which is pretty small because you get to interact with the professor kind of one-on-one.
Yeah, I've had the same experience. Well, their introductory courses are huge lecture halls filled with students, but as you get further and further in your degree, the class number shrinks. Like right now I'm in a chem elective and there's only 10 students in my class. And then like my other and when you start getting into like biochem and inorganic classes, it's usually between like 10 to 30 people, and it's usually just your major as well, because those are major specific classes.
Yeah. Now here's an important question, and a lot of science students do ask for this because science is a very rigorous major. Will I have time for a social life?
Yeah, I would say absolutely. It's just about managing your time. Time management is an essential skill. Even as you go towards professional school, I'm pretty sure it'll be a really big skill. And as you go into your career, you need to decide which things you need to do and which things you kind of don't need to do yet. So I think if you manage your time properly and you schedule your classes and schedule your assignments and your homework, it's definitely possible. I don't think that's an issue.
And I'm going to throw this out to both of you just to get your advice on this. What is something that you wish you would have known or you wish you would have done as a freshman that you can give to our guests that are visiting today?
I would probably say interact more with your professors. Everyone is very friendly here, and they can give you a lot of advice and provide a lot of opportunities that you might not know of otherwise, especially with research and getting into labs. So all you have to do is just go up and ask them, and they would be more than happy to help you.
Yeah, I think one thing that is kind of underrated is office hours. A lot of students, don't really think about it much or are nervous to meet with the professor one-on-one. But I think if you met with the professor, you would, not only do you have the possibility of, getting into research, but you can get an understanding of the material in a different way because the professor has the time to actually adapt to the way that you're thinking or the way that you're approaching the problem. So I would say something that I probably didn't do enough of is go to more office hours when I didn't understand something or if I didn't get something.
And here's another question. How soon will I get to take classes for my major?
Immediately, I guess, because I believe their first semesters you start out with a basic introductory chem, and you will be taking chemistry every single semester. I guess it depends on which chemistry degree you actually choose for how many chem classes you take and then which ones you take, because they're all different. But you immediately start out in just the basic 100 level chems.
And Satya, did you have anything to add to that?
I just want to say the only thing that really changes is the percentage of your gen ed. So, towards the first few years, you might have a bit more of, maths and psychology or any other arts and humanities. But as you go more into your junior and senior year, most of your classes are basically chemistry at that point.
Right, and we do have a couple of questions here. How much time do you think there are for extracurriculars, whether an on-campus job or debate or other clubs, especially at least research? I will be a biochem pre-med student, but I love to get involved. I want to know what is possible. If IUPUI is flexible with those things, or if I have to leave something to focus more on my studies.
So I am a biochem pre-med currently. And so right now I have 18 credit hours of classes, and I also do like between 15 and 20 hours of research a week. So it's a lot, but it's definitely manageable. And it, at least in my lab, it's very flexible, like the times I come in and do research, but I like to come in as much as possible because I enjoy it. But there's also like the understanding that my classes come first for everything. So I think it's really up to how you manage your time and what you find enjoyment with the most. I would say prioritize that first. But if you want it to happen and if you want to do things, there's definitely a way to make it happen.
Yeah, so like Holly said, the understanding with a lot of on-campus jobs or research or anything is that studies come first. So if you are able to manage your studies, you have room for doing other things, but there's no point in doing research if you're really going behind it, you're really lagging in your studies. But I think in terms of extracurriculars, it's definitely enough time to do your classes and do your extracurriculars. It's just about how you manage your time. It's, if you choose the right things to do and you're scheduling your time, I think it's definitely possible for you to do your research and, an on-campus job.
And I can speak as an on-campus employer. So my office does hire science students, and we know that your studies come first. So we can work around your classes. If you have a big exam, let us know, and we're able to accommodate that. But that's one of the advantages to getting an on-campus job as opposed to an off-campus job is everybody here realizes that we're here to help you as students. And we can make those adjustments. If you can only come in and work for 2 hours at a time, that's great. We're all for that, and we will definitely accommodate that. All right, and we are at 4:30, so that is our time. But I do have one last question, so we'll wrap it up with this. What are your biggest achievements so far at IUPUI?
I would have to say my biggest achievement was getting into a summer research program that I did. Actually, at the IU School of Medicine, it was the MD PhD pipeline program. There's only 9 of them in the country, so I was really excited to be a part of it. I realized it wasn't what I wanted to do in the end, but it was still a fun experience to be able to do all of the research and being involved with Riley as well.
Yeah, I would say it's probably getting a peer-reviewed paper published. I had a paper published last August, and that was with my my boss at the School of Medicine, and I also was selected for the IUPUI Top 100 last month.
All right, and our top 100 is our top 100 students here at IUPUI, and those are, or this current year, over 50% of them were science students. So it is, quite an accomplishment to be named to that list. All right, well, I wanted to thank everybody for tuning in today. And again, just encourage you, if you have any questions, to email me at science@iupui.edu, or come and visit us on Thursdays and Fridays for a School of Science visit. We'd love to show you around. If you have any other questions for Satya or Holly, you can reach out to me, and I can get them to respond as well. So have a great day.